Wealth Without Risk Tax Lien Certificate Webinar Training Series.
That's Tony Martinez.
We're very excited that everyone's on the call, and I know we still have some people registering and logging into the training.
So that will be available all the time. And then there's about 26, what happens, I think, once a month or whatever, a couple times a month, they have other things that they're giving out.
That's on our website?
Well, no, you can't get access to that unless you've signed up for the program. Okay. Interest rates, 8 to 36%. Program, what it looks like. And this is something that I brought up a couple of months back, the whole issue of what are we really doing with these properties, these rental properties, and what's it taking? You know, the taxes you've got to pay every month, the insurance you've got to pay, mortgage payments. Every time a tenant runs out and they don't pay, it's $5,000, $3,000, whatever to fix it up, unless they really trashed it. I had some tenants recently in my Memphis properties. Seal and I've got some properties in Memphis, same property manager. Tenant decided not to pay rent. The property manager said, okay, well, we're going to have to evict him. I said, well, you're the manager, do your thing. They evicted him. The same night they got evicted, they came back with about 3 or 4 guys, ripped the cabinets off the walls, totally trashed the place, cost about $10,000 to clean it up. How many times is that going to happen with a tax lien? Exactly, not too many. And that was the first time I filed insurance. I asked Alan when I was down there at his meeting, Alan Calvo, in front of everybody, have you ever had your place trashed to the point where you just said, I'm going to go file an insurance claim? He said, no. He said, I just go back out there and I pay the $5,000, whatever it takes, and I get them cleaned up and we get them rented back out as soon as we can. And I said, well, I'm not going to pay $10,000 to clean it up. I'm going to file a claim. So I filed a claim. They got it all cleaned up. They gave me a couple $1,000s back for past rent that I wasn't getting when the place was empty. Cost about $10,000. And my insurance went from $800 a month with them to $1,000 a month. So that's $200 they increased my insurance. How long am I going to have to pay an extra $200 to make up that $10,000? Sounds good to me, you know. I mean, I had a property here in Isla Vista, a duplex that got trashed, and my insurance man said, you need to file a claim. And I said, well, you know, if we all file claims, doesn't that increase the insurance for everybody? What about making the people responsible who do this? He looked at me and laughed like, boy, you got something to learn. So I went to court and I won, and the judge made me, you know, they said, well, you need to talk about this first, we'll come to an agreement. They talked me down half of what they owed me, but they said, okay, so I went to a collection agency. Well, actually, they didn't pay, so I had to go back to court again. And the judge says, okay, you win. And I said, well, that's the second time I win, but they're not paying. How many times do I come back? And he goes, well, as many as it takes, I guess. I said, why did I just go to a collection agency and forget about going to court? He says, you go ahead. So what good was the court? You know, I went to a collection agency and they finally got it 5 years later. And of course they got half of it, so I ended up with about a fourth originally of what I should have had. And my insurance guy goes, you should have filed a claim. I told you, you know. So what I'm saying is, I don't think it's as bad as most of us think about our insurance rates going up. Might be with cars, you get in a car accident or you get drunk driving, yeah, you're going to have some major increases. But I don't think that filing claims on major problems with your property is as bad as we think it is. Okay?
Well, not only that, but why do you have insurance?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like this, the smoke and the soot damage deal.
Yeah.
You know, I went in on it. I got paid on it.
Yeah.
And people said, well, but you know, it didn't have that much damage. I said, if I didn't have that much damage, the insurance company wouldn't have paid me.
Right, exactly. And we're paying insurance like crazy. So, you know, if you're really, if it's a couple $1,000, you know, okay, like one of the properties had an AC unit outside in Memphis. Immediately, when the tents were gone, they got ripped off. You got a $1,000 deductible. That's not going to help. They put another one in. Immediately, they put a steel cage over it with, you know, cement and all that. 2 weeks later, they came back. Steel cage had been busted up with a sledgehammer. They stole it again. You know, the small stuff you can't really put the claims on. It's not worth it. But the bigger stuff, yes. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there. And the reason I mention this is, you know, you got property management, the fees, the evictions, and everything that's going on, the maintenance per month, vacancy rates, advertising, vandalism, market turndown. I think we're all familiar with the market turndown in Santa Barbara. We've all lost it practically 50% of the value of anything that we own, right? Tax liens, the market goes down, the interest rate's the same, nothing changes. Your time. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. If I'm going to spend a whole lot of time, I really don't mind researching. You know? What I do mind, it's almost like if you want to do property, if you want to do investment property, there's two things that you have to be to do investment properties. You've got to be able to kick ass, and you've got to be able to kiss ass. You know? There are times when you deal with the city and the county and the different agencies and Section 8 where you just got to kiss and you got to kiss and you got to get through it. And there's other times that you got to go back to your management company and kick and kick and kick and get something done to your contractors and kick and get something done. So you're constantly going back and forth between a lot of emotional, you know, issues.
Can you do tax liens with a self-directed IRA?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked that question. This is equity trust. I've got, what I'm going to be doing, I don't have enough to give out to everybody today, but let me know if you're interested in this. I've got a video to give you on equity trust and self-directed IRAs. I've got a video to give you on the tax lien stuff from these guys, which is not how to do it, but kind of a promotion of why it's a value to do. And I can give you that for free. Now, they had mentioned in their information already that there's another type of combination, traditional IRA and self-directed IRA, that you can actually put a lot more money in, $15,000, $20,000 per year if you're pulling money out as wages from your business, where a traditional IRA or a self-directed Roth IRA, you can only put about $5,000 or $6,000 a year into. Okay? So that's something that you might want to look into as well. But imagine, you know, doing tax liens and getting 18 or 20%, or even ending up with a property and a foreclosure on a tax lien and making $40,000 profit by you just giving it back to the realtor and saying, hey, I don't want to manage it, I don't want to paint it, I don't want to clean it up, get rid of it as fast as you can so I can go back and get some more tax liens. Doing all that in your IRA, tax-free. Yeah, you can do that.
You can also use life insurance too. The annuity,
Yep.
life insurance,
Yep.
and you can pull that out and put it into the liens too as well by liens.
Right? So that's something to think about. So yeah, Carl, thank you for showing up. I just mentioned that you're doing tax liens and deeds in different places. And Carl had said, well, Dan, you know, in this market, there's a lot more places going to foreclosure, so if you go out and you start looking for these tax liens, you better make sure you're getting properties that you wouldn't mind having, because you just might get stuck with them. So basically what he's saying is just don't go out and get anything cheap because it's a cheap price. Think seriously about the fact that you could end up with that property back, and if you do, it better be something you can get rid of.
I have a question about tax liens since I'm 84 years old. How long when you make an investment of, say, a pretty large sum, would it be before you start receiving that 18 or 20%?
It's anywhere...
Or getting paid off entirely?
Okay, it's guaranteed, basically, it depends on the state, but let's just say guaranteed in a year. After the year is up, if they haven't paid their taxes, if it's maybe a 3-year redemption, then you have a chance to buy the next year. If you don't want to buy it, you can let somebody else buy it. Okay? So it could be anywhere from a year to 2 years to 3 years, or if California does the 5-year thing, it could be 5 years. So you really want to pick states that don't have very long redemptions, so they come sooner. And even at that rate, if you got a state that was 1 year, 2, 3, or 5, you know, anybody could walk in and just say, hey, you know, I'm tired of dealing with this. Here's your tax money, and it could be 3 months after you bought it. That'd be a real good percent because you're getting way sooner than you were supposed to.
That'd be anywhere from 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, well, anywhere from 3 months to 5 years, depending on what city, what state you're in.
So in Tennessee is 1 year. They can come back within 1 year.
1 year, and it's a
Highly
flat.
unlikely that they come back unless it's a high-end piece of property.
Right, and it's a flat, so if they come back in 3 months, you get the full amount. Some states say, well, it was only 3 months, so we're only going to give you 3 months worth. We're not going to give you the whole amount. So you need to look at that too.
what happens as far as reassessment when you acquire the property? What's the purchase price? What your deed was or what?